Hey people, welcome to the channel. In reacting to Morphologis video, I'm giving up on Star Citizen events, which is, well, not all that far from my usual take on how terrible things are. He's maybe a little bit more politically correct than I am, but it's refreshing to see that it's not, I've always liked Morphologis. I've always thought that he's very, clean and very professional about his videos and so on, but always not taking too much shit, when it comes to some of the things that CIG has us used to by now. Let's watch this thing together and see what Morphologis thinks. Maybe he's not that of a different opinion as myself.
Why I've not had a whole lot of time for making content. So I just got back from the US and from moving actually to a new house in Taiwan, which is why I've not had a whole lot of time for making content recently, or even playing Star Citizen for that matter. So I wanted to sit down this week and finally finish off the Save Stanton mission event, which is supposedly going to be ending come the next patch 4.02 as part of their new effort to focus mostly on content and stories this year over features to try to get the game fixed up before the end of the year, finally making it, a game that's not known for being mostly broken. And we've seen a lot from CIG leading up to the end of last year and in the beginning of this year talking about how...
It's talking about Save Stanton. That's been around for a while. So yeah, it's quite clear that Morphologis, ironically enough, he hasn't been playing... Not only he hasn't been playing a lot, he hasn't been playing much at all of this game. Which I get it. I don't blame him either. I see why he's not interested in it.
They're focusing on fixing a lot of stuff. But when it comes to the actual experience right now, and given that this event is ending, well, I think it's pretty fair to give the whole event and experience a grade. And if you've not already guessed from the title of this video, it's not gone particularly well. Speaking of traveling, if that's something you're planning on doing soon, then the sponsor of today's video, Saley, could probably help you out a little bit. Since I'm pretty much physically attached to my phone nowadays, going to another country without a SIM card is a bit of a stressful situation. Not being able to use Google Maps to navigate or even find out what Elon Musk said in his 250th tweet that day is, well, like the end of the world. That's why I've stopped messing around with local SIM cards or eSIMs. And if you're worried about running out of data, don't worry, it warns you when you're about to cap out so you... So first, a bit of much needed context before going into the experience in this year's Save Stanton mission set. So the mission set that they're running right now is a continuation of last year's story, which started with Chapter 1 of Save Stanton. Basically, there are some baddies from the nearby Pyro system, a lawless system that is causing trouble in the Stanton system, and you're meant to basically help out the people in Stanton.
There's no context to anything you're playing. There's no impact to anything. There's no story. There's no really like role-playing elements from an actual role-playing game. There's really nothing of that. There's a bunch of guys in an office that think about a couple things. They say it in a video from the Star Citizen YouTube channel, and then basically what it comes down to is you just go and shoot someone or just pick a box and drop it. That's all they bother working on. Then the rest, it's all bullshit, and it feels like bullshit. And at this point, so many months now into this nonsense, it is like, okay, yeah, all right, you're doing something special. No, you're not only not doing something special, you're doing something that is boring. Because it's so repetitive, so lazy, so lacking creativity, and it's not even funny or clever. It's just bad. It is, you do this 6 times. All right, yeah, because you were deceived, right? No, nothing of that happened.
To prepare for defending against the incursion, which eventually happens in one of the phases. In total, we had 4, and they consisted of some cargo recovery missions, some combat missions where we had to eliminate some of the operatives that were in Stanton. Finally, there was a big fight with an Idris incursion and a fleet that came in, and then the last mission set was a little bit of, I don't know, a letdown maybe, with a resupply mission to the Stanton and Pyro Gateway in anticipation of the...
Okay, that's chapter 1.
Such a frustrating and uneven experience that sometimes you could play for hours and just get nothing done because of bugs. And there's where the important context lies for talking about Chapter 2.
Yeah, it is the idea of you spending hours doing something, not getting anywhere. Not only do you not get anywhere after spending hours of doing something that's boring, repetitive, and why is that you do it? Well, because there's a reward. There's a gun, there's a skin, there's a little bit of armor, something stupid like that, but hey, you're doing it, so you cannot blame it. Well, you still want to, but the thing is, The reward is really not all that much. I'm doing the expeditions in No Man's Sky. There you get a freaking ship. You get a lot of cool stuff. You get little rewards with each step. You never face a bug of any kind. It is all on you to find solutions to the problems you're being presented, and you're rewarded by it. And it's so well designed that you don't waste a single second. Right? You may screw up here and there, but you're always advancing towards the objective. Smaller objectives, phase objectives, and then the final big reward. I mean, it is light years away from what they do here. This is the laziest of the laziest examples of special events. And they don't even work.
For 2025. For Chapter 2 that takes place in Pyro, they went a bit more ambitious. Instead of you just choosing one side, now you've got to choose from 3 factions, and once you choose that faction and do a mission for them, you're locked in with said faction. You could choose to be with the pirates, the headhunters, who just hate everybody and want to fight everybody, and then a shady faction of mercenaries called the Frontier Fighters, who are supposedly fighting for the good of Pyro, and then the goody two-shoes citizens for prosperity who just want to live peacefully in Pyro. And as you worked for either of these factions, you'd build reputation with them, which would eventually lead to something more in the future.
All of that he just said, it's just not in the game. You're not you're building up this reputation, and then you have access to the special faction, and then you go to stores that are only for them, and you have you're attacked by the other gang, and then you're gonna get support by your buddies, and there's gonna be missions, and there's gonna be quests that are only no. They just talk as if that's the case, but it's not real. None of the things that they talk about are real in this game. They talk about all of these things, and then it's just, go shoot this. Now go shoot
We've
that.
got a lot of plans for reputation in Star Citizen, though not a lot of it has been executed on, beyond giving you some missions and some light hostility mechanics in Pyro.
There you go.
But it's definitely not on the level of severely affecting your gameplay like they talked about years ago.
Exactly.
Now, personally, I went with Citizens for Prosperity because I am a more goody two-shoes player. I'm on the side for good, and the Frontier Fighter struck me as a little bit suspicious. So the first mission set had me delivering boxes to various outposts, eventually leading to Phase 2, where some fighting actually took place, and this is where the issues really started to crop up. You could either choose to go after defending a ship in space somewhere, or go to an outpost and clear it of enemies. But the real choice you had here was just to go clear an outpost of enemies, because I never had a single one of those missions in space actually work. Every single time I'd get a mission waypoint, it'd lead me to a location I couldn't actually quantum jump to.
It's impossible. Yes.
But never mind, just like the last chapter, this chapter allows you to complete one of the 2 missions multiple times to fulfill the quota of 6 or 3 depending on which phase you're playing. This one was 6, so I went for clearing 6 outposts. But guess what? Up until this point, after trying many hours and going through 20 missions, I've only completed 4.
It's impossible.
Only 4. Because in pretty much every case, the NPCs aren't spawning, I fall through the ground, I can't leave the space station, just countless frustrating issues.
My exact same experience. I've shown you how this works. They're bugged, and he's doing from the other faction. I'm doing from the Headhunters one, and you have to go and destroy resources, which in theory should be super simple because you just go there and you shoot them from the ship, which is okay. I mean, all right. You have the choice of going down, and I'm really at this point, I find it so fucking boring. But I just want to finish it so as to get it done and have a gun of a reward, right? It is impossible. You spend hours and hours and it's broken, it's bugged, you cannot leave the station. What he's basically saying.
With this patch. And nearly the worst part of it is just how much time these missions waste. You wouldn't find out that the NPCs were missing pretty much until halfway through, after you'd already spent 15-20 minutes getting there,
30 minutes.
After you spent 15-20 minutes looking for those NPCs, then you discover, they're probably dead
bugged,
or fallen through the ground, or they never spawn because you can't find the last percentage. And at that point, you just got to cut your losses, abandon the mission, and try to find the next one and hope you didn't lose too much reputation with the faction you're trying to do missions with. And I say nearly the worst part because the actual worst part is that they're ending this chapter with 402 when it comes out, presumably in the next week or so, and introduces a whole new series of event missions for a separate narrative, cutting anyone out who's not finished the mission set from getting these rewards.
You wasted your time.
And you know what? I just don't care anymore. I have gotten to the point where I've become so frustrated with trying to finish this stupid mission set that it's no longer really worth my time. There are so many other better games I could be playing right now, and it hurts me to say that. I do like Star Citizen. And
you're the fucking man. You had the balls to say what, well, I've been saying all along, but all of the other fucking shills, all of the other damn I'm not morphologist. I actually have a background in architecture as well, and I taught architecture in the University of Buenos Aires, which is wild. So I appreciate all of the thing that he used to do with ship, analyzing it from the design perspective. Good for you, man. Good for you. It is insulting that they do these things. It's insulting. A broken mess. They know it is. They say it's alpha, but then it's alpha, but then you have these extremely hardcore, demanding missions. Not in how difficult it is to play, but extremely demanding in terms of you deal with our shit. You deal with our bugs. You do this 6 times, because if not, you don't earn a gun for your ship, a little pistol, a little toy for you to play with in this thing. I'm demanding all of this, and I'm giving you nothing. You know what? If you had any decency, if these people, Chris Roberts and CIG had any decency, they would do, you know what? Yeah, let us do this a couple of times. It actually works. It's not completely broken. I don't force you to do it 6 times. I don't force you to fly across the damn nothingness for 20 minutes until you see that it's bugged. But they don't have that decency. They don't have that minimal respect for backers.
I want it to succeed, and I think about Star Citizen when I'm not playing it all the time because it fills a niche that no other game does for me. But when a game wastes tens of hours of your time only to cut you out near the end from getting the reward you've been working towards, it's just such an incredibly deflating experience that it makes me want to put it down for like months before I pick it up again. Yeah. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who's
you're not.
Looking at my comment section from pretty much every video I've posted since 4.0 has come out, many of you guys are feeling in a similar vein.
Yeah.
And so much of this is of CIG's own making. Look, I get that MMOs need to have limited time events with rewards is kind of the way it functions. It gives people incentive to play and some...
Interrupting here, my new best friend Morphologis. You know what? Morph, since we're buddies, No Man's Sky. How do they do their missions? You have several weeks. You have several weeks of something that is perfectly planned for your enjoyment. You get little rewards. Half an hour, well, you're gonna get somewhere. You're gonna progress, and you're not gonna lose that progress. And then you'll progress some more. It's gonna be separated into 5 different phases, and it's gonna take you a few hours, but you have 6 weeks to do that. You know you have 6 weeks. You know that with a few hours, and if there's one weekend in which you want to really get there, you can, right? But it's carefully tailored and planned event. Which these people, even though it says it's an alpha, this is an event. This is an event for the community in your alpha. Yeah, we get it. You're working on the best damn space, blah, blah, blah. But this is an event. And the event should fucking work. It should work for the community. But they don't have that. They don't have that minimal decency anymore.
Thing to show off to other people who weren't around earlier. It makes them want to engage and stay up to date with whatever's going on in the MMO. But when the game doesn't function most of the time and there's a not insignificant population of people who are feeling left out because they can't enjoy it because of the issues, then I think that there needs to be some kind of adjustment to the way that CIG there are problems with it, and you need to keep patching. So then why are we tying an event to a patch cycle when in the past it's caused so many issues? Why aren't we doing it where you release patches as you need to fix problems and just let the event run until everybody can complete it and all the major issues with the event have been solved? I mean, there's a whole section of this mission set that doesn't even work and hasn't worked since he introduced it.
There you go. He's
Please
pissed.
Try to do better than this. This is not it. So if you're feeling frustrated like I am, sound off down below, do some venting, and hopefully CIG will listen and make some good changes. I thought they were trying to make things better this year, but this is something that's definitely not better. This is something that they can improve, and it's not too hard to do, at least from my position, so I just want to understand what their thoughts are on this. Hopefully we get some answer and resolution soon. Anyway, guys, stay safe out.
Yeah, and as you see, the community agrees with him. The community says, yes, I agree with you, right? So there it is. This is where you see what it's actually about. There you see it, right? 50 ball lickers giving him a thumb down, and 2,000, almost 3,000 people completely agreeing with him. And I agree with him as well. Nice to see it. I think, you know why? Because I think it's healthy. I think that what I do is healthy. Having critical thinking and being objective about how things are not doing well. You know, you play other things. There's other things for you to do with your time, especially with us, a little bit of older gentlemen, family men that have wives and kids and jobs and whatnot. Maybe you don't have all the time in the world to do, play freaking video games all day. But it is a lot of what this community is. A lot of the people that have backed this thing for a long time, it's been that sort of, the space dads, the guy, the retired guys that spend thousands of dollars and they go to the events and whatnot. But if you're not critical, they don't change. Why would you change? Do you ever change anything at all if it's not something that you see, oh man, I'm screwing up here, or someone pointed out, or I see it myself? They're clearly not seeing it themselves. They need us to point it out. Folks, see you next time. Take care.